Good morning, everybody. How are you? You had a nice time over the long weekend, yes? Good. Today, we're going to see Raleigh's poem, but from a different perspective. We're going to see it as a parody. Like in this poem, Raleigh parodizes, Marlowe. When I say parody, have you ever thought what is a parody like? Okay, today, so in this lecture, we'll talk about what is parody, and then we're going to see how, Raleigh parodized like Marlowe in this reply. But let me ask you, what is a parody? What is a parody? Yes, please?
The book with the same words and image tone, but in different way or opposite way to make fun for the...
Yes. Yes, the main purpose of the parody is like to make fun, is to ridicule or to mock. So one is writing, let's say, a novel or a story in response to another novel or a story or a poem, and the main purpose of this is to satirize, to parody, the original one. Now, is this what is happening in like Marlowe's or Raleigh's reply? Is he mocking him? Is he, making fun of him? This is what we are going to see. But the question is like how he is making fun of him. How? Like he should be making fun of him on a thematic, level, on a linguistic level, on a form level. So this is what we are going to see today. Like if we remember, Marlowe's poem is about what? Marlowe's poem is about the simplicity of the pastoral life. It is about the immortality of the pastoral life. It is a suggestion. It is an invitation, like for the lady, for Marlowe's lady to go and live with him in that beautiful life. Now, we want to see like how he is parodizing, the whole poem. And before I start, I want you to be aware, when we say parody of the word, of certain verbs, like verbs like, I might write for them, like, because they will help you in your, in speaking about the parody. Do you know what this means, mock? To mock? Okay. What is this? Could you bring the page size, the size of the page? Okay. Can anybody come and fix this? So we might need to use words or verbs like mock, satirizes, refutes, refutes, debunks, invalidates,
do I do?
Yeah, just like I want a small, a large font, So when we are discussing how this is a parody, we might need to use these verbs. How he makes fun of him, how he, disdains his idea. You might need the word disdain. So all these are necessary, like to use when you are explaining the parody. Now, you mentioned, okay, yes, thank you. You mentioned like parody. It's an imitation. What is he imitating? If we look at Marlowe's poem, you remember how it went? Come live with me and be my love. And here you see, if all the word and love were young and truth in every shepherd's tongue. So what do you notice? Do you notice like the same rhyme and the same rhythm? What is like the rhythm? Do you remember the rhythm of Marlowe's poem? Iambic pentameter. So again, if all the word and love were young, and truth in every shepherd's tongue. So if you scan this and you say, if we take this line and make it scansion, if the word and love were enough. Now I think if the word is a stress, which is stress? What is stress? Yeah. No. If the word and love, word and love were enough. So we are having, if the word, and love were enough. Like we have, how many meters do we have? How many feet do we have? If the word, 1, and love, 2, were enough, 3 and 4, because enough. 4, and each syllable has 2, so it is the same rhythm. And the same, if you look, it is the same rhyme. A, B, A, B, B. So if you go to the original poem, yes, and he's using almost the same number of stanzas, except like in the reply you have one missing stanza, which is about like the food one. Now, we have to see how he's making fun of him. How is he making fun of him? How is he ridiculing him? Is he making fun of him? Yes. How? How is he criticizing him? How is satirizing him? How he is refuting? Now, when I say this is a parody, I don't want you to compare or contrast, because this is a common mistake. Usually in the exam, last year I asked, to what extent is this poem a parody? And most of the students kept, like comparing and contrasting between the two poems, and they missed the point of the question. So when I say a parody, I want you like to show me how he is making fun, how he is underestimating, how he is, devaluing the whole poem. You see what I mean? So let's see how. Yes.
First, about the topic. The topic in Marlowe is about immortality and simplicity of life, and it's invitation for little here to come and live with him.
Yes.
But Raleigh is about mortality, and all these beautiful things are going to death, and it is not refused to come. Like
yes. So what was seen as immortal in Marlowe is becoming mortal. So in Raleigh or in Marlowe, love and life were immortal. But here they are mortal. How? How do you say, like, how they are mortal? You know? How they are mortal? Like, do you have evidence from the poem that these things are mortal? Yes. How they are mortal? Yes?
That everything will be disappear and the time will drive everything.
Okay, this is what you can from the outside, but from the side of the inside of the poem. Yes. How? Yes, Jihan?
Like we discussed the last time, when we took the very first line and he said the word if, it actually like refutes, it's as if he's stating that the world and love are not enough, and he's saying that if they were.
So, do you want to say the assumption, like the assumption that life and love are not enough? Because this is, an assumption. This is an assumption. But like I want more concrete, images or evidence from the poem that indicate that all these. Yes, please.
When he says the grounds, the shoes, thy.
Uh-huh.
Thy grounds, thy shoes, thy bit of roses, thy cap, thy curtains, and thy voices soon break, soon wither, soon forget.
Yes, yeah. This is an example of ephemerality, like it's been transience. Ephemeral, like something which doesn't last. Ephemeral. Means transient. Something which doesn't last. Yes. Like these, thy gown, thy shoes, all the golden promises, will be like transient, like will be temporal. Okay, good.
Also, when he said the flowers be fade.
The flowers fade. Okay.
The fine thumb.
The flowers fade, like here it's an image of mortality. What else? Okay, let's go to the poem. Yes? Yes, please. Excellent. Yes, time drives the flock from field to fold. This is an image of what? Destruction, devastation. It is an image of finality, end. There is nothing called mortal. Look here. Time drives the flocks from field to field. So you can say, like Raleigh in this poem, undercuts or, undermines or invalidates, whatever you can use, refutes, like Marlowe's assumption about the immortality of life by saying that time will put an end to each thing, to each immortal thing. So yes, here, more images of mortality. Yes, here we have to be insider, to look at images. What about rocks growing old? What's mean rocks growing old? It's an image of aging. It's an image of, change. It's an image of transformation. Yeah. Yes. What else? What about the image of rottenness? Like here. Yeah. What will happen? The forest. Yes. Like thy gowns, thy shoes, thy bed of roses, thy cap, thy kirtle, and thy poses, soon break, soon wither, soon forgotten, in folly ripe, in reason rotten. Like everything will be rotten. And rottenness is an image of decay. It's an image of decay. So, as you see here, he undermines, he, mocks Marlowe's by showing that nothing is immortal. So he mocks him by subverting his theme. I like the word subvert, subvert, like twisting his theme, showing the opposite. If you want to subvert something, you are showing the opposite. Subvert. Yes, he subverts. He subverts the theme by showing the opposite. Okay, now, so the parody here is working on one level, which is thematic, like he's taking the theme, he satirizes, he mocks him by showing, an opposite theme. Also, we have other, like, it could be by using lexical choices, by using other linguistic choices. So what can you tell me about here, if we look at the words, Marlowe, in his poem, "Come live with me and be my love, and we all the pleasures prove," So if you talk about love and pleasure, if we go to Marlowe, love and pleasure, beauty, what are these things? Like in grammar, we call them what? Are they, concrete nouns or what? They are abstract nouns. They are abstract nouns. And here, like in the poem, again, he keeps to the same choices. He uses them. If all the world and love were young. Like, again, he stresses that these things are abstract. And what is abstract is remote from reality, from real things. See? And even, like, because this is, who's replying to Marlowe? Who's replying to Marlowe in Raleigh? Who's like the speaker? The lady. But what is the lady called? The nymph. What is a nymph? What is a nymph? Yeah, I know. A nymph, but it is a mythical creature. A mythical. Originally, the word nymph, is from Latin, which means a mythical. And what is mythical? When we are saying mythical, this is a myth. What is myth? A myth is something unreal. Unreal. So here, again, he is slapping him. He is slapping him by showing that, he's talking about unreal things. Look, abstract nouns. Look at the nymph, which is like imaginary creatures. Like, so by choosing words, that have to do with unreal things. And this, again, is, supported by what? By if all the word, you see? If all the word and love, by if, as we said last time, it is hypothetical. And the hypothesis has to do with his attitude. He is, like if somebody says, if, if all the word and love were enough. So this is, what does it reflect? It reflects the attitude of the poet. And what do we call this attitude? It is an attitude of cynicism. He's cynical. He is skeptical. So by using if, by using, if and again, could. If you look at the end, but could youth last and love still breed? Had joys. Again here, we have the conditional. So the poem begins with the conditional and ends with the conditional. And the conditional has to do with the attitude of cynicism. So we could easily say Raleigh is skeptical, doesn't believe Marlowe. He thinks that the notions of immortal love and life are, nonsensical. They are not true. And this cynical attitude is demonstrated by the use of F, or the conditional use, the conditional of F at the beginning and could and had, at the end. Okay. More. Like, if we look here, thy belt, look at the pronouns. Look at the repetition of these pronouns. Thy belt of straw and ivy buds. Thy coral clasp and amber studs. And I think, thy shoes, thy beds of roses, thy cap, thy curtain, and thy poses. So here, yes, these lexical or these syntactic choices, thy, with the repetition, what do they convey with them? A sense of rejection. They induce, a sense of boredom. But when you say thy, like he's sarcastic. He's sarcastic. He makes fun of him. He, refutes all his allegations, all his assumptions about the immortality, the beauty. Now, if we look, we just show, we have just seen how he was mocking the idea of immortality and how he's mocking the idea of beauty. Say again, here you have images of horror, you have images of ugliness, and if we go to them, like look here, when something is fading, is it beautiful? Yeah. When something is turning from like lush green into dark, dark black or something like this, it is an image of death. And this is what is happening. But again, thy belt of straw and ivy buds, thy coral clasp and amber studs, thy. So what does this show? It shows like, here, what Raleigh wants to say, that these things are artificial. Their beauty is artificial. It is not genuine beauty. Yeah, it is not genuine because it is not lasting beauty. And if you go up a little bit, for all the word and love were young, and truth in every show. These pretty pleasures, the word pretty. When he says these pretty, does he mean like they are pretty? No. So, what does he want to say? Like, don't you think he is sarcastic here? Yeah. So what does he want to say exactly? Yes, please.
He wants to say that it is pretty for you, not for me.
Yeah, they are pretty, and they are not pretty. These pretty, like he was, it's an irony. These pretty pleasures might me move. Again, he wanted to say that these things are artificial, are not genuine, so I'm not coming with you. If we look at the artistic aspects, I mean, like the metaphors, like how he employs the metaphors, how he employs the alliteration, also we see like he's satirizing him. When he says, time drives the flocks from field to fold. The alliteration here, you know, the alliteration shows what? Yeah, it shows an image of horror. It reflects how tough, how fatal will be like the ravages of time. Time will be destructive. And this toughness, which, you know, we feel from the alliteration, it contrasts with the musical tone of Marlowe's poem. If you remember, Marlowe's poem, there were like, it was full of music. It was full, you know, of the singing of the birds, the madrigals, you know. Here, we have, instead of the melodious madrigals, we have time drives the flocks from field to fold, and where rivers rage and rocks grow cold. So the serenity, the tranquility of, or in Marlowe's poem, are subverted, are replaced. Subverted, like they are distorted. By what? By images, roaring images, by images of destruction. Okay. And Philemon becomes dumb. You know, the singing poet. There we have the poet was singing, but here the Philemon becomes dumb. Here people are speechless. Why? So, like, the sense of security, the sense of tranquility are replaced by horror and shock. Here, there is a shock. Why would Philemon be dumb? Because of the horror of the upheaval. You know what I mean? The upheaval, the change. It will be global change. You know, nothing will remain as it is. So, the Philemon will be dumb. You know? I mean, again, this is like a myth, a mythical Philemon is a mythical creature, but Philemon means a bird, you know. So you can, in both ways, like the Philemon is dumb because of the shock out of the horror of the transformation or the upheaval. So I think we started to dislike. We started to dislike. Marlowe's poem started to lose. The flowers do fade and wanton fields. The wayward winter reckoning yields. A honey tongue. Look again, this is another technique. A honey tongue, a heart of gold. Fancy spring, but sorrows falls. Now, what is he doing? He's juxtaposing. You know what's been juxtaposed? To put side by side, you know, things. A honey tongue, what is sweet, will be bitter of gold. What is lovely will be sorrowful and ugly. So again, the juxtaposition, like the technique of juxtaposition, like here in this poem, he juxtaposes like beauty with ugliness. he juxtaposes, sweetness with bitterness. So the juxtaposition, is like to invalidate, to show that whatever was beautiful in Marlowe is nothing, to show the reality, the opposite reality of, Marlowe's assumption. So as you see here, it's a full parody, and you can start your writing how it is a parody by showing this, but you can be more organized. You see, you should show how he is, making fun of the suggestion. He's making fun of the theme itself. He's making fun of all the promises. So the promises which were very enticing are becoming repugnant. So what has been enticing, what's been enticing? Tempting in Marlowe is becoming here repugnant. Repugnant, like hateful, something we don't like, repugnant. Yeah, repugnant. So I think the cap of flowers, the kirtle, which was made of myrtle, are now what? They are things which we don't like them. They are no longer tempting. They are no longer enticing. On the contrary, they are images of horror and death. They are images of transience. So, like here, you see, Raleigh, by doing this, he undermines everything. He satirizes, he mocks, he refutes. This is what I want you you to do when you write the parody. Okay, this is about the parody. Now we have some time to talk about, because this is like your reflection, will be your reflection. So I want you to compare and to contrast between the two poems. And when you are writing a comparison, I want you to take into consideration what? So when you are contrasting and comparing, what are you going to do? And I think here you have to contrast more than compare. But there are, when I say compare, you talk about similarities. Contrast, talk about, yes, differences. Now, you can do this by writing paragraph about the theme of this poem and writing a paragraph about the theme of this poem. By writing a paragraph about the tone of this poem, by writing another paragraph. This is like block. You are using the block. But if you want to, to take the point and mix them, it's okay. It's up to you. You say, okay, the tone of Marlowe's poem is so and so, while the tone of, you can use while, whereas, on one hand, on the other hand, like these transitional words you are familiar with in your writing courses. Okay, so when you want to compare and contrast, what do you want to compare? I think you can compare, the theme, the theme, the rhyme, the rhythm. You can talk about figures of speech. The style. The style in general. The style includes figures of speech, includes alliteration, includes sound, music. What else? So we have the theme. When you talk about the language, we are talking about the style. The theme. The tone. What is the tone, by the way? When we say the tone, what is the tone? Usually people are mixing between the tone and attitude. What is a tone? And what is attitude? What is the tone and what is the attitude? What is the difference between the two? Yes? The tone. The tone, it is the impact of the words on us. The impact of the words on us. Like you look at a text and you see the happy child was smiling at his mom and started laughing, and like so the words smile, laugh, happy, have what on us. So we call this tone as happy tone, cheerful tone. But when we have the crying, the tears, it is sad. So if you look at the words in Marlowe's poem, the tone of the whole text is very happy, jovial, cheerful. Look at the words, the happy, the birds, the singing of the swains, So the tone is happy. But in Marlowe, the tone is very sad. Very sad. Okay, the attitude. How the poet feels towards something. How the poet feels towards something. Like how you feel. When I'm talking about your attitude, or when I'm talking about the attitude, I'm talking about, the poet's attitude, the poet's, feelings, view of something. So if we are looking at the attitude of Marlowe, so he was open, he was optimistic, while Raleigh was pessimistic. And you can, I think, demonstrate that from examples. So here we have tone and attitude. Okay, you can also, compare the themes. The theme, as we saw in the parody, one theme was about the immortality, and the other theme was about the mortality. You can talk about the figures of speech. How the figures of speech in, and the images, the figures of speech, okay, here, like how they were glowing, full of beauty, but in Marlowe, the images are in Raleigh, sorry, yes. Okay, so you were talking. Good. I think, yes, here the images are also different. The metaphors are different. So most of the metaphors in Raleigh's poem have to do with death, decay. Okay, yes. You can talk also, I think this is when you talk about the style, you can talk about in the style, the form, the figures of speech, the language, the sound, the alliteration. So the form is the larger category. So let's say these points you should consider the theme, the tone, the attitude, and then the style. The style includes the form, the images, the figures of speech, the alliteration, the sound, the rhyme, and the rhythm. You see? So I wish you would give me a masterpiece soon. And if possible, I'll be sending you, a small article about, how the parody itself. This might help you. But please try to distinguish between a parody and the comparison, In the parody, I look how you use these words, If you say, this poem is lovely, and the other, you're not writing it, or you're not speaking about the parody, but you are comparing and contrasting. So I think this is enough for today. If you have any question, let me know, please. No questions. Today, yeah, I know I forgot the report, but it doesn't mean that, I don't know how I forgot the report. So let's do it like this time differently. We need somebody to read her report now. If anybody is willing to read her report, it would be funny, huh? Is anybody willing? Yes, okay. So this is a deviation from the norm. We are deviating from the norm. Every day, every time, we're having the report at the beginning. Now, let's see the report at the end.
Daily report. When I wrote my daily report, I feel confused. That because when I wrote it, I imagine myself walking in a long road. I mean, I find many difficulties when writing it because it is a kind of brainstorming and needs serious thinking a little bit. However, I like this task because I discovered that it has a special taste, and also because I hate the method of cut and paste. Regarding to the previous lecture, it was like something has a special side of beauty. That because we began the lecture by saying the report, and then a student said her response, which was beautiful and funny. Then Mr. Habib asked several questions and gave us many chances to think deeply, so we began to understand the poem and think seriously. After that, the teacher thanked us because of our efforts. Also, he motivated and encouraged us by saying you should always follow this method. In short, the lecture was so amazing and nice that we felt excited and did not feel in that period of that time.
Okay, thank you very much. Do you want to read yours? Okay. Is anybody willing? Yes? Okay.
At night, when I came to write my daily report, I decided to write about what happened in Arab world last week. As a Palestinian people, we hadn't heard a wonderful news for a long time. But when the exchange prisoner deal achieved between Hamas and Israel government with the Egyptian aid,
mediation, with the Egyptian mediation.
The Palestinian city had celebrated in the national wedding, rejoiced to release about more 1,000 of Palestinian prisoners of the Israeli prisons.
Yes.
Through this happy news, the education ministry and others announced a vacation of 3 days. Also, among this happy news, we hear the falling of Gaddafi body and his guards among the Libyan rebels. And we hope to listen more happy news.
Yeah, and Gaddafi has to do with Raleigh because, Gaddafi thought, like Marlowe, that life and palaces will remain forever. Yesterday I read an article من القصر إلى السرداب إلى القبر. So I change it in my mind من القصر إلى الوكر ثم القبر, because this is how it should be like this.
And we hope to listen more happy news about the Arab leaders falling scenario in Arab Spring Revolution. Although the winter season will soon, the Spring Revolution will continue. On the other hand, about poetry class, last class we started a new poem for Raleigh.
And we finish it today. Thank you very much. Good. Thank you and take care. Okay. See you next time, inshallah.